Good morning. Hello, it's Maria Peth here with Maria's Angelic Enlightenment. And I am just gearing up for this class today. We are going to be talking about to see with our heart. And it might be seeing with our heart. It may be knowing with our heart. It may be feeling with our heart. Many ways that our heart can express and to help and support us in expressing. I want to apologize ahead of time. I have a little bit of laryngitis that I've been dealing with the last few, actually for about a week and a half now. And my voice is stronger, but it's still a little bit soft, but that's okay. I think you can hear me okay. We're going to get started here in just another minute. I'm going to let a few more people get on. So again, I'm in my office this morning, my beautiful office here in Waverly, Iowa. You can see little angels in the background, even a Christmas stocking. It looks like Christmas in here. My daughter's we'd say junior high curtains hang here because they're fun. They look like little rainbows. And I remember her saying, I'm too old for that now, Mom. I need some grown-up curtains. And I was like, I'm not too old for them. I'm taking those to my office and putting them in here, and how cheery they are and how wonderful they make me feel. So, I think that when we invite playfulness and when we invite the fun of youthfulness into our lives, that we do find a little more joy. So, I like the angels, I like the fairies, I like colors. And this is the background here that you see in my office. A few more people getting on. This is really good. I'm going to give, again, a little more time. I am Maria Peth. I'm an angel reader, an angel decoding practitioner. I have written a book, Angel Decoding: Secret Keys to Communicating with Your Angels, and it's very popular among those that are intuitive, and that means like the whole world, because everybody's intuitive, and those that want to be more intuitive, and also people that are wanting to connect with the deceased, the loved ones that have made transitions, and they find that there are special ways that we can connect when we are open. And we're talking a little bit this morning about the heart and seeing with the heart, listening with the heart, and how the heart has a magical way of supporting our intuition. And so I'm going to go ahead, and I think it's good. 3 minutes is a good time for everybody to come on. Thank you, Katie and Sharon and Sue and Kim so far for checking in. It really helps me. I think I have to really give a shout out to Katie. I have been following her on Twitter. And I think she spent a week with a nephew, and there was some cute pictures on Instagram too. And it just, made me feel joyful. And she also seeked out Derek in New York City, and said hello to him. I don't think she was trying to get a date or anything. I think she was trying to be a friend, which I appreciate. But she's into the work that we're doing here on the earth about bringing light and love into the world. And so I'm really grateful to know you, Katie, and have joined Angelic University as well. So, and again, thank you for being on here. And do your work. All right. And then Tammy's joined us as well. Okay. And a few more will keep coming. It's all right. I don't need to connect with everybody there that's tapping in this morning. It's just nice to have people to talk to. So, Maria Peth, today we're talking about listening with the heart. And I did take some notes because I have things that we need to discuss that are also important to you perhaps in the future for expanding your own knowledge and spending some time reading. So I am going to be quoting some of the work from the Heart Math Institute. So Heart Math Institute is an institute that has been really up and running for about 5 or 6 years now, and they have done thousands upon thousands upon thousands of experiments involving the heart and its ability to communicate. One of the most, important features of Heart Math has been that it's brought to light what we would consider to be the intuitive awareness of heart, and that its ability, as we focus in our center of love, in our center of expanded adoration for self and others, that it has brought healing modalities to people. And Heart Math, you can just look up Heart Math Institute and spend some time in that website. Greg Braden, one of my favorite scientists that is also very much about the new light and the new world, has endorsed a lot of the work for Heart Math. They have, studies where they have done workshops with people, and they've measured the heart and the brain activity before a workshop and then after the workshop to prove the support of actually calming the nervous system with meditation and doing intentional prayer, intentional focus, and all of these processes helping people to heal and recover and transform. What do we mean by transforming? We're going to turn into angels, and no, it's transforming, meaning like that we may be in a sadder space or struggling, or perhaps in a relationship drama, or having problems with career, or feeling stuck in life, or dealing with anger and frustration, and through the process of some of the activities of, again, meditation, prayerful intention, breath work, and some of the measurements that were taken before and after at Heart Math, before workshops and after workshops, have found brain waves, neural activity, and heart synchronization with the mind synchronization being much more calm, and that bringing a great deal of healing and helping people to think more, to think differently, to perceive a situation differently, to perceive a situation or a dilemma that they might be dealing with from the heart. So it's a little bit different. Like, our mind can say things that, like we have ingrained in our subconscious that we don't even realize. Like, maybe as a little person, you may have ingrained different ideas about how you might feel about certain people in community. Let's say that, I don't think this way, but let's say that, you see a person, a person of color. I'm a person of color. I'm brown, or it could be a black person, or yellow, or white, or purple, or orange, whatever, person of color, and you have a preconceived notion about how that person might be. Let's say, like Asians are supposed to be, really intelligent and be really good at math. And, Brazilians are supposed to be, good at, dancing and soulfulness. And, black people are supposed to be, good athletes. And, white people are supposed to be good leaders. And, like, are these preconceived notions? Are these, there's been leaders that are, black and not white, and there's actually excellent dancers that are Asians and not Brazilians. And there's, a million people that have high acuity in math, and they're not Asian. And so, we perceive differently when we know differently. We also can perceive differently when we go into our heart about a situation. And I like, this has happened in literature, in the John Grisham book, and I cannot recall the title of the book or even the movie at this time, but where a little girl is like drugged through the streets, on a truck, and then later raped, And of course, the setting is like in the Old South, and and somebody is accused of this, the raping, and it happens to be, I mean, a horrible situation. Of course, it's fiction, but one item or one avenue of redirecting perception that John Grisham used at the end of the book was like at the trial, when there are jury members trying to decide, who may be, like at I guess guilty of this, hideous crime of this little girl. He has them, imagine this experience happening, and then he ends it with, now, this is not now let's not think about this being, a little black girl, but let's think about this being, one of your children. And then go, and he actually says, now your decision, your perception, your feeling is going to be different. Then this happened to this, person that somehow society thought wasn't worth anything. And of course, that's the Old South and the idea. But in that, in that scenario, when John Grisham has the attorney use that strategy with the jury, it completely changes the outcome. Because the jurors are no longer looking at color or some preconceived idea, or as we would, say, prejudice. Now they are really viewing the situation with their heart. This is a child, and this child could have been your child, or a child that or is somebody dear to you. And now make the decision. It's a crime. It doesn't matter who it was, who did it, how it happened. It's a crime. And that, again, is like the power of the heart. Anyways, that was a into many of the things that we're going to discuss here this morning. But I do want to take a deep breath with you, and let's say a prayer. So take a deep breath with me. And go ahead and put your hands on your heart so you can just feel that beat. And let that heartbeat slow down just a bit. Breathing again, and beautiful Lord, sweet angels, Holy Spirit, my guides and angels, and each of us that have gathered this morning and will gather in the future to hear this class. We ask for your light to surround us, to support us. We, a beautiful group gathered together, ask for healing for ourselves, for healing for our communities, for our country, for our world, for our galaxy. We ask for harmonizing of our hearts in extended time and space so that we can be one with the quantum field, the one field that we are all a part of, that we are all seeds of, that we are all connected to. And in that space, may we harmonize and synchronize in the center of love, the love that we were born with and from, and the love that we will go back to. In your name and for this time, we are ever grateful, beautiful Lord, Mother and Father God, and Holy Spirit. Amen. All right. It's a good place to be, right? Prayerfulness. So I'm going to talk a little bit, kind of backtrack just a little bit about, the picture that I chose to use to kind of advertise this class today on social media was this little boy with his hand on his heart and then his other hand touching a tree, and instead of touching the tree, I'm going to, touch this beautiful crystal that I have here. And, this is a living organism of the earth. This beautiful crystal, it has been in our earth for billions of years. And she has history. She has imbued in her the dynamics and in her, beautiful core, the records of history that go back so much further than we can ever grasp within our human mind. And so everything is alive. Everything is filled with God's source. Everything is filled with intelligence. And that picture of that little boy, you know, holding his hand, and he's like so blissful, that face that I used, you know, again, that I've seen it before, and I didn't know who to give credit to, but it's a beautiful photograph, like with that little boy just being so into the essence of that tree. And he's, you know, connecting with that tree in his heart. And I want to encourage each of you to harmonize with, communicate with. Maybe it's a crystal today, maybe it's a tree, maybe it's your favorite plant, maybe it's your favorite pet. Perhaps it's, you know, a garden that you sit in. But something in nature. It could be water. It can be the snow, if you're lucky enough to have snow today, which we are lucky enough not to have today. I ask you to, you know, spend a little time, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, just asking the object that has life to speak to you, to give you a little nudge, to give you a little message, to bring you some awareness of its beingness. And, you know, for me, the minute that I saw this beautiful crystal, and it was already loved by someone else. It was at, you know, a metaphysical fair here in the Iowa area that I found this beautiful quartz crystal sitting, looking at me. And I asked the lady, and it already had the blue and yellow feathers on it, and the dolphin sitting on top of it. It didn't have the cough drop. That's there just in case I need it. But this crystal was looking at me, and I said, "Oh my goodness, is that for sale?" And the lady thought, she goes, "No, but maybe." And I said, "Oh, it's speaking to me." And she said, in what way? I said, it has agreed, I believe, to come to my office and sit on my desk on a beautiful royal cushion, and to point it and direct it towards the people that I'm working with is how I saw this impression or vision in my mind. And she goes, "Oh, that sounds beautiful." She says, "Here you go." And I said, "And how much would you like for it?" She goes, "Whatever you want to pay me." And I was like, whoa, you know, that's kind of a hard thing, because now, you know, I had paid like, you know, $20 for this little guy, and I'm thinking this is like 50 times that, and I don't know if I've got that much. But at this moment, she just kind of like said, you know, "Oh, you know what? I'll take $85 for it." And I said, "Sold." And so this came home with me, this precious baby, and I heard it, you know, say, I want to work with you. I want to work for you. And this is our work, you know, together. And I don't communicate, you know, regularly or reach out, you know, to crystals regularly for communication, but it just felt so natural that day. And I guess you can say I began to pay more attention to crystals. And was that, you know, all my imagination and wishfulness, and, you know, and I didn't notice it right away, you know, but when I looked at it, it looked at me like, you know, it has this little, you know, face looking at me. And the dolphin means communication in animal totem. The dolphin, as we know, is a beautiful communicator, playfulness. Blue is the color of communication in the aura, and yellow is new growth and learning. And so the crystal, I believe, was already primed to work with me, to communicate, to bring new growth and learning, and for all of those that came into my space. That being said, another fun crystal that spoke to me was this baby, right? Isn't that fun? So this is an amethyst crystal crown. And I found it again at another metaphysical, fair, and it spoke to me very loudly. But it spoke to me because of its beauty, and it spoke to me because I kind of feel like Wonder Woman when I put it on, right? Yeah, we're all Wonder Woman. We're all Wonder Men. We're all Wonder. Anyways, this is an incredible tool for me for meditation and healing. And although I don't wear it all the time because it does like kind of get loose and start to fall, I have been kind of wearing it with intention when I do a little meditation, and it just helps me to like buzz right in. And I do feel that its purpose was more not just for ornamenting my crown, but its purpose was for really helping me to remember and cherish that third eye and bring healing. The healing is for me, but it projects out to others. So I don't wear this on a regular basis. It is actually sitting around my beautiful quartz crystal that is my companion or my assistant here in the office. But these are ways that we connect with the heart. These are ways that we can allow nature to speak to us. And one more story about speaking to nature. I had a profound experience last fall in Mount Shasta when we went, a group of us, for for a retreat. The awakening, actually a soulful journey to Mount Shasta, and there were 8 of us that traveled to Mount Shasta to enjoy a week on the mountain, which is very beautiful, valuable chakra energy for the world, and also has a bunch of fun, new age stores and crystal shops and readings. And we went with a guide, up on the mountain, and spend time in portals, experiencing portals of energy, tree portals. And this interesting, our guide, Andrew shared with us that like the trees will naturally kind of grow in a circle pattern and create like kind of a almost like it is a circle, and to kind of highlight where portals are in the earth, portals of energy, portals of light. And if you pay attention and go into a forested area looking for circles of space where the trees have naturally just kind of formed around. And it is kind of a natural phenomenon because tree seeds will fall and trees will grow right where the seeds fall, except for in this circle. And the circle can be small. It can be maybe 5 feet around, and it can be huge, like 20 feet around or 30 feet or yards. We sat in several portals of this nature in Mount Shasta. But on the way to Mount Shasta from California, I was in San Francisco, and I drove there. I was in San Francisco for a different event earlier, and then drove to Mount Shasta. And on the way, we saw all the trees that had been harmed because of the forest fires. And the forest fires that are currently going on now, which I want to hold an intentional prayer for California, and the fires that have been actually destroying a lot of the land there. But same kind of thing, it was October. We were driving up and through the highway, we could see, just all these trees charred and destroyed and done and finished. And going up there, I felt sadness, and I prayed for the trees. But then the next morning, I'm driving back I'm driving back to a nearby airport, a little bit further south from Mount Shasta. Can't recall the airport right now, but I just reached out, like intuitively to the trees. I'm going to have a sip of water, excuse me. And I said, oh, beautiful, beautiful trees, beautiful God, may God help you. May God help you. May the energy of the earth heal you. And like almost immediately I had a clear understanding, communication from the trees, if you will. They communicated through clear knowing, just boom, that they were restoring, that they had released some negative energy, and they were restoring, and that all will be well, and that all would be restored, and in fact, sooner than we would imagine. We think it takes years for trees to grow, but in this respect, they were like calm, and they were saying, we are healing, and it was a deeper message too that came with that, of letting go sometimes of the things we don't need, letting go of what is charred, what is old, what is burned up within us, letting go of anger, letting go of frustration, letting go of guilt and shame and fear, letting go, and then charging again with courage and strength. And so it was like they said, we are restoring, we are rebuilding, and all will be well. It was just a really beautiful connection, and I felt really peaceful. I was by myself in the car, and I could just pray on them, which is what I was doing all the way down that mountain that morning, for about 20 minutes, and then I heard that very clear. I understood that very clearly in my awareness, and then another incident happened later when we were in the forest, when I hugged a tree, a really big pine, and I hugged her, and then like I saw all of her cones, her pine cones, her children, like falling, and she said, do you see my children? They're so beautiful. They've all fallen all over in this valley, and we have grown, and how strong we are. And I was like, I pulled away from the tree, and I'm like, I just had this amazing vision, of the tree, it relaying her history to me. And it's that simple. Hug a tree and talk to it. Hug a crystal, a stone, a rock in your yard. Hug that flower. Hug your doggy, and your kitties, and the ferrets, and all those, and the horses. Oh my gosh, and communicate. This is heart communication, because we are letting down our mind. We are not saying, the mind is not getting in the way and saying, oh, you can't do that. Who told us that? Who told us we can't? From ancient times, we have known indigenous people to be speaking to the earth, to be speaking to the sun, to be connecting to the animals, to the trees, asking, as they did in Avatar, as we were reminded there in that beautiful movie Avatar, how to respect nature and how to live in this symbiotic energy together, to be united as one, to be connected. Who told us differently? It was, somebody who wasn't thinking with their heart, wasn't feeling with their heart, wasn't seeing with their heart, wasn't knowing with their heart. They were with the mind, and the mind is okay, but the mind is not where the seed of the soul sits. The seed of the soul, which is connected to source, which is the most powerful energy in all of the universes, is the God source, the universal energy. The I am is connected to this organ that we call the heart. And again, Heart Math Institute has, done so much research on there. A couple of things that I'm going to let my brain in on is research shows that the heart sends the brain messages regularly, neurologically, through perception, and through emotions. So you want to be aware of your emotions. You want to check into your emotions, and you want to work on that emotional scale of getting above the courage line. And I know I've talked to you about this before. I'm just going to show the scale that I have here. Maybe you can see this. I hope it's, the courage line is here in the middle. And above the courage line is where we have flow. These are the emotions that are above the courage line. Is courage, right? Is I think that's neutrality, feeling neutral, not having any judgment. Acceptance, accepting what is and at the face value, accepting others, accepting situations, accepting your magnificence, accepting your intuition, accepting your superpowers. Reason, and that is a brainy thing, but reason is, again, all is fair. All is good. All is in a state of balance. Love, joy, peace, enlightenment. Now, you can look up the emotional scale and it'll have different words, but everything above the courage line is where we want to go. Below the courage line is energy that's a little more self-centered and also in a state of influx and needing some healing. There's nothing wrong with being in some of these other states for a few minutes, but when you catch yourself being in a state of grief or fear for very long, you don't want to live there. You want to move up. So you can look up the emotional scale and get a little more information, or even write down some of those emotions. Oh, I'm showing you my notes. You don't need to see these. So neurological, heart to brain, perception, heart to brain, emotion, heart to brain. And higher mental processes actually can be accessed when we call on our heart to help us. Students have learned that when they are loving themselves or they love a subject, they do better in that subject. And we think it's their passion and drive. Passion, which comes, it's a heart emotion. Passion is a heart, condition, a state of being. And again, passion drives knowledge because we love. So loving yourself can help you do better in math. Loving yourself can help you write. Loving yourself can help you compute or understand. Or loving yourself can help you do intuitive work and healing work, and help you to do art and to be a sculptor, a painter, a designer. It can help you to write, amazing stories and speeches. It can help you to design new ways of being and things that make life either easier or more fun. Heart and love are responsible for this more so than just being a brainiac. Something else the Heart Math Institute has, talked about is that there's 40,000 sensory neurons in your heart. 40,000 sensory neurons. And it doesn't surprise me that there are, 40,000. The 4 in angel numbers is angels are all around. And the zeros are all about God is with you. So I like to kind of, tuck that in there. It's like, here's a little bit of that magic that the angels bring forward. Angels are all around, and all those zeros, God is with you. And 40,000 neurons that my heart, can sense at any instant. And we do that when we, think from the heart. And do you want to wear your heart on your sleeve? It's cool to wear your heart in your heart. On your sleeve is just an old-fashioned saying that, you give everybody your heart, that you love everybody. And I think that's a good thing. It is good to love everyone. You don't have to like everyone, but you want to be in a state of at least being loving the humanity. Magnetic field, the magnetic field of the heart expands several feet. And so we can get within 5 or so feet of somebody, and we can feel their love. We did an interesting dowsing experience and at the Awakening Goddess retreat in Sedona just a couple weeks ago, and a dowsing experience we had with a lovely lady who does dowsing. She had her rods, and she did an experiment of measuring everybody's field of, like where their field of energy was expanding to. And it was interesting, to see most, people seem to be at about like 5 to 7 feet. Some, of us were out, much further, 10 feet. And it's just a practice of expanding your energy. I believe, and I have learned to do this with healing work. Like when I say a prayer, I imagine that, my energy, my love is like going and engulfing and surrounding that person. And then, I say prayers for the city that I'm in. Then I say prayers for the state I'm in. And then I say prayers for the country I'm in. And then I say prayers for the world. And I imagine that prayerfulness and that energy expanding. And so when you work on that, it's holding space for all this. And yes, it takes energy and time and focus and attention. But I've got something more to tell you about Lynne McTaggart's work in just a minute that is very powerful about intention and how the expanded field of energy can support many people. But again, it all starts with the heart. So several feet is typical for most people. And that means anybody that's within that several feet, you're going to feel, and you can send love to, and you can send healing to. And when you feel them and they feel sad, say a prayer. Don't hold on to the sadness or the anger or the frustration. Say a prayer for them, right? God be with so-and-so, or maybe you have an awareness like, oh, I'm totally annoying that person today. It's like, I'm going to get a little bit further away from them so I don't annoy them. Maybe you have an awareness of like, oh, that one's like hitting on me. No, like I'm married, I'm happily married. And, I can send love, but not that way. We have impressions that we get from people, and we don't even realize it. We don't give the credit to our heart, to the knowing, to this intuitive vessel that is full of soul and is a gift. And so we're doing this all the time, ladies and gentlemen. We are intuiting our world on a regular basis. We are amazing species of light and love. And the more we understand that, the more aware we are, the more we can use it for the good. Use it for the good. I just said one of the ways is prayer and attention out a few feet to those around you. And then positive emotions boost the brain, and they help you make better decisions, which I already mentioned earlier. Better decisions because the decisions are from a space of love. And so it is a truth that when we come from love and we come from humanity's perception of inclusiveness and the oneness and the wholeness, that we are making better decisions for all. And that encompasses yourself. We don't have to, when you're making a particular decision for yourself, like, should I take this job? It is important to incorporate how much you love yourself and what yourself is worth and how yourself needs this or doesn't need this job or career or whatever it may be. In that case, we don't have to encompass the whole world to make that decision, because that can confuse the purity of the message that is within you. So don't get me wrong. This is not about getting a lot of information from the rest of the world to make personal decisions. It's about getting information from source, from God light, from your heart light, and knowing within you what you need to know for yourself. When you are connecting and intuiting and feeling others, that is when we are sending love. And we can communicate with the others and gain messages, but we don't have to make all our decisions based on what others think, because too many others can spoil the broth and the decision. So just a little bit of discernment there and boundaries. Your decisions should be clearly involving yourself and God's light within you and how it will support you. When you are sending healing, when you are praying, when you are working with others, then we encompass the others and we hear and know and gain communication from them. But our own personal decisions should be heart-centered and balanced with our logic and our reasoning. Balanced. Okay. And then another cool fact is in utero, heart, in utero, you know what happens, period. The mother and the baby are one. And I mean, they never cease being one, even out of your utero. They've found that a mother can, help calm her child down if she's calming down. They have synchronized brain waves and heart waves for mother and children. And that's why sometimes the young ones that are born, addicted to meth or crack or with addictions and they're separated from their mothers or their mothers pass away, they have a harder time, calming. They need, because their source that was mother, they have to reorient with new mother energy, and the electromagnetic energy that is so vibrant and so connected with mother, with father, with family is very, very powerful. And so the environment that one is in can affect the heart intelligence, your ability to intuit. The environment that one is in can shift and change your emotions. So let's, place yourself in more joyful environments. Like I said, I love my office. And, I lock the door and nobody can come in right now. It's just me and you. And I love this. And of course, when I open my door, it's wonderful too, because then, clients are coming in and or classes are coming in and it's welcoming. But there is a little piece of joy, for me. I've created this, little Disneyland here, like I said, with, my angels and my crystals and, my essential oils are around and there's, plants and there's colors and, your environment. My home, my husband's there, so it's a little bit clouded, a little bit cluttered too, but my office, a little more peaceful. And it's not about 24/7 because the environment of your mind and your body is important too. So purify your body with good water. I've been drinking ionized water with a higher pH these days, at least 1 bottle a day. And I do your regular water too, and then I drink tap water too. And I also send healing to my water. But do put good, clean water and good nourishment in your body. Because that's molecules and cells and part of the environment. So you want to be good to yourself and try and get a decent amount of sleep and try and rest your vocal cords when you're supposed to. I've been talking for weeks and I'm healing. Okay, so that was from the Heart Math Institute, and I want to say that it was Dr. J. Andrew in 1991 that did a lot of research with the mother-baby brainwaves and heart synchronicities. And just in case you wanted to look at any other research other than heart math, if you wanted to look at this Dr. J. Andrew from 1991 with mother and brain. I want to talk now a little bit about Lynne McTaggart, who Lynne is Lynnne. McTaggart is MC and then capital TAGGART. Lynne McTaggart. And she has written several books, but the one that was really called to my attention is The Power of Eight. The Power of Eight is how a group of a group of people gathered together to intend healing can bring the healing. In this book and in her research, she is an investigative journalist and author, who, you know, kind of accidentally fell into some of this beautiful work, and she calls it science, and she calls it intuition now, and she also calls it you know, tapping into the quantum field. All of these words are words that many people that have been involved with the new world, like we are, bringing the new world of love into this consciousness of being, thinking and being light workers, being in the light, being aware of the new age, you know, the coming, the shift, the change, whatever we want to call it. Science is now using the quantum field, and it's wonderful. And the quantum field, and also the unified field. Unified field, I heard years and years and years ago with the people that practice transcendental meditation. They're now in my hometown in Fairfield, Iowa, where I grew up in my high school years. Oh, somebody isn't muted. Let me think. Sharon Steggy, I'm going to mute you because I don't think you're muted. And okay, so going back to that real quick. So in my hometown of Fairfield, Iowa, there's the TM, Transcendental Meditation, that you know, Institute decided to take over a college that had gone bankrupt, the Parsons College, from way back, you know, in the day, and they came in the mid-70s, 1970s, then started to really build this incredible community. And some of you have seen some of the televised, you know, I guess we would say, reporting that has come from the Transcendental Meditation Center in Fairfield. Oprah did a show about it, talking about, you know, the meditation and the dome, and they have a whole Vedic city now. You know, very interesting, powerful. But they were talking about the quantum field back then in the late 70s, in the mid 70s. You know, I was in high school. Everybody in town was like, "Who are these TMers? What is this all about? You know, this is like they're infiltrating our town. This is like horrible." You know, and you know how people are judgy when there's something new coming, and we, you know, don't, you know, Maria was in high school, she didn't really care. She was working on, you know, running track, you know, pom-pomming for games, and loving on boyfriends, you know. So that's what I cared about. But the quantum field, I remember hearing about it, thinking that's interesting. And one of my girlfriends did marry a beautiful doctor of psychology who talked about the unified field from the time that they were married. You know, said, "You should teach about the unified field, Maria. You should teach about the unified field." And I was teaching biology, you know, co-teaching biology at the high school here, and thinking, how do I sneak in the unified field? You know, it's like we're doing biology, which is the study really of life. And you know, I remember using the word a few times and talking about the unified field. But what is the unified field? It's the field of one. What is the unified field? What is the quantum? It's the field of one, and anything can be tapped. So on the Awakening Goddess Retreat, which was, again, 2 weeks ago in Sedona, I kept seeing grids in the sky. I was seeing these amazing intricate grids in the sky. It was so beautiful. I would look up and go, "Oh my gosh, there it is again." And so I started to ask the grid, "What am I supposed to do with you? What is this about? You know, how come I'm seeing you now?" And you know, a little bit frustrated at first because I wasn't getting a message right away, and then and then a little, you know, gentler. And one of my retreaters and also good friend, Mona Everson, you know, went into one of the metaphysical stores with me, and she plops open some books, and she's like, "Here, you know, Maria, look at this." And we're looking at pictures. She goes, "Did it look like this? Did it look like this?" And the grids, you know, that we were seeing, some of the grids were crystal grids. I'm like, "No, it's not like that." You know, it's light grids. And we found a picture of the light grid, and I was like, "That's it. That's what I'm seeing." You know, read a little bit about it, not a lot written about it. So I'm like, "Oh, okay. So I might be writing about some of this because, you know, I get these downloads." But what I know today is really that the unified field, the quantum field, and the grid are all one. And so with Lynne McTaggart's work, which I was led to about 2 days after I got back from Sedona, it was like playing on my playing on one of those, like little classes where they try to like get you to sign up for the whole like, shebang, which I haven't done, by the way. Maybe I need to do that here. I love teaching you guys, and it's nice that it's for free. Do subscribe to my YouTube channel though, please. And follow me on Instagram, and what else? And on Facebook on Maria Peth Angelic Enlightenment. And then sign up for a session every now and then and come to my real life classes or a retreat. Awesome. So the magic of a heart-to-heart connection is what I call a connection that I have been doing since I was 4. When I was in Brazil and my mom left to go to the United States, 5,000 miles away, my grandma, in her wisdom, I think it's ancient wisdom, said, with no phone in the apartment that we were living in, my mom was gone for 3 years. It's me, grandma, and my auntie Jenny, all 3 of us, this little unit. I had 2 moms there. My other mom was in America. How do I connect to mama? And it was sad, for me. And my grandma saved herself from my crying and prompting, and saved me by saying, here, you come right here. Let me show you. And she put her arms around me. I can still feel her like there. And she put my hands, to my chest. And she said, right here, your mama. You will feel her there. Close your eyes. Think mama, mama, mama. And I, in that 4-year-old stage, being completely impressionable and also being guided, I think, by angels and God and the wisdom of my grandmother, like connected with my mother. Like that. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel different than I felt this. I feel mama, and I saw in my mind's eye mama too. I could see her, she was happy. I could see she was smiling, and that made me happy, and that made me smile. And so anytime that I wanted to, I could connect with mama from the heart. I still do it today, not just mama, but I do it with all people. I say somebody's name and I can connect and feel their energy from my heart, because I've been practicing for so long. So practice that. It's the unified field. We just tap into that wire called the unified field, called the energy grid, called the quantum field. We tap into it, we zero in, and we zoom, and we are right there with whoever we need to be with, sending healing, intention, positive love and light, maybe feeling them and knowing what they're going through, and sending prayers if they need us, or sending love, because everybody needs love. So don't hesitate to do that. That's really important work, light workers. Start with at least, one person, or even sending it like to the cat, to the dog, to the tree, to the, whatever is around you. So you can practice that connection. So, grandma taught me that, or vovó, as we say in Portuguese. She taught me that. And she is, my dear Brazilian grandmother. And she has transitioned, and I, still get little messages from her. They're usually messages that connect to simplicity of life, because she was very simplistic, and, she made everything from scratch, because that's how we did it back in the day. We had, sparing things in the apartment we lived in, because we didn't have a lot of money, but we had what we needed, and most of that was love. So my vovó, her actual name is Kitera. It's a Q, Kitera, but vovó is what, we call our nanas or our grandmas. Today, science is calling this phenomenon, tapping into the quantum field, the unified field, the connected energy grid, vibration. So I'm like, hee. Been doing it since I was 4. And so have you. You have. And again, Lynne McTaggart writing this power of 8. So what she discovered is that it was kind of a magical number. 8 people just worked. That 8 people together meditating with an intention for 10 minutes was starting to heal people and situations. People, things that were healed, hundreds of documented cases of healings, arthritis, cataract, multiple sclerosis, scoliosis, depression, anxiety, to name a few. Now, medical science and the emergency work that is available through emergency care is absolutely irreplaceable. There is, emergency care is needed but long-term care for some of the ailments that we have that come from autoimmune responses, like like arthritis, and some people suffer with pain in different ways, and oh gosh, what's that one autoimmune that everybody had for a while? Anyways, can't think of it. I try not to think about illnesses. I try to think about health, which is much more important. But healing, because 8 people intentionally prayed for that person, that situation, and they weren't even in the room. They weren't even seeing these people. They had a picture of the people or the person or the situation. People sent in pictures of themselves to have the study done, and the miracles happen. Are they miracles? It's a miracle right now because we don't know how to describe it by science, right? And then as soon as science gets a hold of it, it becomes scientific. So, it was a miracle that, that this would ever happen, right? That we would have cell phones. That's a miracle. That's like a futuristic thing. And now, science got a hold of it, made it happen. That's all. We're just like one science, awareness experiment, one amazing soul away from, calling this like the way that we heal in the future. And that, you will go to a center. There will be, 6 to 8 people sitting around. You'll sit in the middle and you'll have your 10-minute session with them, and you will, exchange energy, exchange payment of some kind, and you'll be healed. Maybe you need to do this once a month or once a week, like we do getting a massage or having some kind of touch therapy regularly, because it's very healthy for the heart or the body, or you let yourself go and you end up being really, really sick, and then you got to go into have emergency care because you didn't go have your treatment. So let's listen to our bodies and begin today. The Power of 8 is her book. In double-blind experiments testing the human connection and transmission of information, as well as healing through the quantum field, she discovered regularly 8 people with intentional prayer or meditation, or simply intention. So if people were not comfortable praying, some people aren't, they hold intention or meditate for 10 minutes, hundreds of documented cases of healings, one at a time, focusing for 10 minutes each. So what a beautiful way to work. What a beautiful way to exchange. What a beautiful way to heal. Again, we need to start opening these centers, right? For, 3 hours a day, 8 of us are going to, do this, and you take free will donations and come in and, have your 10-minute treatment. And then, pay your free will donation or whatever it might be to continue to stay healthy, or to help you to, do away with depression, cataracts, scoliosis, arthritis, to name a few. Depression is prevalent everywhere. So many people struggle with that emotion. And a lot of it is like deep-seated roots of pain from past experiences. I just realized that there's 2 minutes left in this class. Oh my goodness, where does the time go? The quantum has been working with us and with me, and I'm like amphetamine breath here, blah, 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 just speaking. I love you guys so much. I just love you guys so much. I just wanted to, be present with you today to bring this, idea of seeing, hearing, listening, feeling, knowing with your heart. It is a powerful organ, but it's also the beam from God's source, from the quantum field, from the energy grid, from the unified field that you are calling on and that you are connecting to. So both powerful in both ways. Remember to have boundaries and discernment about how much energy you're putting out or how much you are bringing in. Bringing in energy is very powerful, but it can wipe you out if you are calling in, too much at a time. So build it up, build it up, build it up. How do you do that? More prayer, more meditation, more deep breathing, more self-care, more massages. Woo! That really helps you to expand your own field, your own special field of magic. I'm going to brag because that beautiful, lady with the with the what is that called, the dulcing, rods. She was like 20 feet away from me when they went. Boop. I was like, yes, I've been doing some work energetically, so I can project. And I think that part of it is because I'm projecting to all of you that are many feet away and, many, many states away on a regular basis. So it's practice. It's practice. Teach, sing, expand, pray for the world. And that's practice. So it has nothing to do with me. It has much more to do with the intention and the passion that is coming from God's source. Let's take a minute now and take a deep breath and say a prayer. Oh, beautiful Lord, sweet angels, Holy Spirit, thank you for this time, this gathering. Thank you for these light workers. Thank you for the messages from Lynne McTaggart from Heart Math Institute and these new scientists, that are expanding into the consciousness world and helping us to bring words and understanding and make it more clear, make it more everyday, and make it more part of our new earth. We are grateful. Help us to be the source of healing for others, the source of teaching, the guidance, support, and encouragement. Fill us up, Lord. Heal us. Command us. We are grateful for the miracles in each of our lives. All of us have experienced them, from healings, from relationships, from knowing and connecting, and from really being a powerful light worker. We are grateful. In your name, we are grateful for this time together, and this gathering happened before we ever knew. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am going to pause the recording so that if those of you that have questions want to, feel free to ask a question for a few minutes after. Thank you for listening. This has been Maria Peth with Maria's Angelic Enlightenment here in Waverly, Iowa. You can find me on the web at mariapeth.com. That's P-E-T-H, P as in Paul, in case you can't hear me today. I really appreciate being with you and this time together. Amen. Pause the recording.